Guys, it is for Lightning and welcome back to another episode of Life. But also, I just want to tell you really quick, if you see me squinting throughout the video, it's because I just came back from an eye doctor appointment and they did like a thingy with my eyes. I forgot what it's called. But anyways, let's just get started. Today is episode 32, so let's start with the song of the week. I Still Believe by Jeremy Camp. Also, I actually seen the movie that is based after the song. Okay. Jeremy Camp wrote on a liner notes of Wow #1 hits that this song concerning faith in God came from tragic circumstances. The whole basis of the song is that basically no matter what happens in your life, how desesperating a situation may be, God is still on the throne and everything in his word is truth. So, okay. Now let's move on to the verse of the week. Also, I suggest you this song is really good. Verse of the week. I went to the Lord for help, and he listened. He saved me from all that I fear. Psalms 34:4. Psalms 34:1-7 expresses David's determination to extol God constantly. He invites the humble to hear his praise and join him in magnifying the Lord. God answers David's prayers for deliverance. This is probably about David's escape from the Philistine king. Abilene, 1 Samuel 21:10-15. Thanks to this and the other experiences, David is confident the Lord protects and delivers all who fear him. Now, let's move on to the childhood thing of the week. Another Veggie Tales one. Sherlock Holmes and the Golden Ruler. Okay. Man, I'm thirsty. Bob and Larry once again greet the kids on the countertop. Before saying that today's question comes from Erica Bangaman from Minot, North Dakota. Larry greets Erica, asking her how it's going there. Before he says, may not be perfect, but it sure beats South Dakota. Bob then tells Larry that he can't say that because he just insulted South Dakota. Despite Larry's insistence that he was just making a little joke before he says may not be the best joke, but Bob stops him, saying that they have a lot of fans in South Dakota, and it's a lovely place. Every bit as nice as North Dakota. Larry then says it may not be so bad if it weren't for the Badlands. Before saying that he's on a roll, Bob then hops up to the camera and says, my apologies, South Dakota, before glaring at Larry, who asks him what the letter says. Bob then reads the letter with Erica saying that she and her family just moved to Minot, and she's started going to a new school, but she doesn't know anybody. She says she wants to make new friends, which got her wondering, what does it take to be a good friend? Larry then says that's a good question, before asking if Erica has a speedboat, because that might help. But Bob tells him that she doesn't, before telling him that being a good friend has nothing to do with having a speedboat. When Larry asks about having a bag of lollipops, Bob also shoots down this suggestion, to which Larry says that he's out of ideas. Fortunately, Bob has a couple of stories that can help Erica. Larry then says a speedboat may not make you a better friend, but before Bob abruptly says roll film. Oops, my bad. The asparagus of La Machana. I don't know how to say that. Oh, I think I saw this one, but not the whole movie, just this part. In a strange land that is made entirely of food and cooking utensils, a lone warrior by the name of Don Quintox played by Archibald Asparagus, rides off up the hill on his horse before he is approached by a horde of pea soldiers played by the French peas and starts throwing hamburgers at him. Now I'm hungry. One hamburger hits Don's horse, which causes the horse to start rolling down the hill before Don is hit with another hamburger, just as he wakes up screaming, "No!" before being met with his assistant and friend, Pancho, played by Mr. Lunt. It turns out that Don was actually having a bad dream, and he and Pancho run their own restaurant called Cafe La Mancha. When Pancho asked Don if he'd been dreaming about losing to him at checkers again, telling Don not to take it hard, and that he'll give him another shot at the Checker King after work. Don thanks Pancho for his concerns before telling him that it was much more than merely a bad dream. Pancho then asks if it was a wrench dream or insufferable, ejectable, hideous, or malodorous. Before Don says, "Pancho, I believe I had the impossible dream." Pancho is confused before saying, "Just by definition, wouldn't that be impossible? Maybe you just had a difficult dream, or perhaps a possible serious dream." Before Don tells Pancho that it was his dream and it was impossible, Don then says, "Dream or no dream, it's time to get to work." Soon the lunch crowd has gathered at Cafe Mancha for lunch, with Pancho giving all of the people orders to Don. Seconds later, Jean-Claude P. then enters the restaurant, telling all the people that a brand new restaurant is opening. Of course, Don is sarcastically says that they got competition, and they might as well just close their doors right now, which everyone laughs about that after that. Pancho then tells Jean-Claude that many restaurants have come and gone, but they're still standing. But Jean-Claude tells him this is not just any restaurant. It is a food factory, which everyone is surprised to hear. When Don asks Jean-Claude to if he said something about the food factory, Jean-Claude says he did, and they are the most popular franchise in the world, and no other restaurant within 50 miles can stay open. Don asks Jean-Claude if he knows where the food factory is opening. The dogs are barking, sorry. Jean-Claude shows everyone that the restaurant is being built across the Cafe La Mancha. Don thinks the construction alone would stretch out for years, but he is proven wrong when the factory is immediately built within seconds. Of course, Don then thinks there's no way they could open a business anytime soon before a sign lights up saying food factory is now open. Pancho then asks how long it would take for them to attract a crowd before scrolling marquee lights up that reads "Food as big as your head." Don thinks that there's no way their customers will go to their food factories, but the customers immediately rush towards the food factory, leaving the Cafe La Mancha completely empty. Don then realizes that the dream he had was warning him about the food factory coming to threaten his and Pancho's business. Later that night, while everyone's attending the food factory, Don is playing checkers with Pancho while eating chips with spicy salsa. But he is still disappointed, wondering what he is going to do before Pancho tells him, "I will tell you what you're going to do. You're going to king me." Don then asks how they can possibly fight this, with Pancho suggesting they restructured, which to find an area they're not covering and do that. Sorry, I feel like sneezing. Excuse me. When Don makes another move, Pancho is able to beat him, but Don doesn't care, saying that the food factory has food as big as your head before he leaves the table after that. Pancho has a chip with salsa, but it's too much spicy for him. I'm hungry. Wondering what's in the salsa. Then Don then says, I don't know what to do, my friend. I'm afraid everything we worked for is over. Pancho says that he can't believe his ears, telling Don that they've made it through thick and thin together, and that this is no different. But Don tells him that he's wrong before he starts to hop back into the restaurant. After that, soon Don then goes back to his bed. After that, he goes to sleep. The first time Don has this time Don has another dream where he's back in strange land again, but now finds a mirror that shows him a reflection that does not look like his. Before more and more mirrors come up to him, showing him more strange reflections. The mirrors then close in around Don while he calls out for help before he wakes up from his dream once again. Pancho tells Don that he'll need a whole lot of help to take down the Checker King. When Pancho tells Don that he has some great ideas that would turn the place around, Don tells him that he has much better solution, saying that his first dream told him what was coming, before saying that last night's dream revealed how to combat the food factory, saying that in his dream, every time he looked in the mirror, he saw a different reflection, which can mean that to succeed, he needs to be different than he is now. Pancho then quips, maybe it just means you need to clean the mirrors in your dreams. Don then says that they need to change the look and image of the restaurant and make it different, something more entertaining. Don says, Pancho, I've dreamed the impossible thing, and we're going to make it happen. Pancho reluctantly decides to go with Don's plan anyway. The first time they changed the restaurant into an Asian style restaurant called Donny Haha, but it doesn't work. Before also changing it to a silly sounding restaurant called La Cuckoo Mancha, which also does not work, along with a coffee shop called Japa Java, and a Chuck E. Cheese style pizza restaurant called Cheese E. Rodent. I'm hungry. But these ideas all fail. Of course, the customers all laugh at the duo's attempts, telling Pancho to quit the restaurant and come work for the food factory. When Pancho asks Don if he wants to play checkers, Don is angry, telling Pancho that they're gonna lose it all, and all Pancho can think about is checkers, before storming off to his room. After that, Don then tells Pancho that he should start looking for another job before entering his room. Pancho then hears the front door open before seeing the manager of the food factory, played by Mr. Nezzer, had come to ask Pancho to work for the food factory. Despite this offer, Pancho turns him down, telling him that Don and him have worked together for years. More importantly, that they're friends and that a friend is always loyal. Before showing the food factory manager the door, the food factory manager then leaves, but without informing Pancho that if he changes his mind, to let him know. Pancho then approaches Don, who is once again eating chips. Once again eating chips with salsa before telling Pancho to go ahead and go. But Pancho tells him that he is not leaving the Cafe La Mancha and that they're going to make it. Don then goes to sleep while Pancho tells him good night after that. Soon Don has another dream in which has gotten onto a hill again and see the lone pea soldier, thinking that he'll have an easy advantage against just one pea soldier. Don then starts to charge towards the pea soldier, who retreats in fear, with Don yelling after him, "Coward, come back and fight like a pea." Don continues to charging forward on his horse until he sees something that causes his horse to stop and sends Don flying until he crashes on the ground to the ground. When Don picks himself up, he sees what looks like a giant windmill monster standing before him. In a nod to the original story of Don Quixote Talks, Ox, I don't know. Don then starts running for his life with the windmill monster still chasing after him, until he wakes up again and falls out of bed. Red Pancho is glad to see that Don is up before telling him about his latest idea. Don tells Pancho to hold that thought because he just had a dream that was different from all the others. Before saying I now know what to do to rescue our cafe. Pancho then asks if it's a better idea than touchdown turkey, which the turkey is dressed like a football. To just look like a football. Don then says that he simply needs to attack the food factory, banish his foe once and for all. And Pancho thinks that Don is kidding. Don then says that it's a quest to follow the star, to which Pancho then tells him, "What star? I thought we were talking about the food factory." Don is now prepared to take the food factory, despite Pancho trying to talk him out of it, telling him that attacking restaurants is against the law. Don then has Pancho go out to the food factory before Pancho says through a megaphone, "Attention, ladies and gentlemen, I have announced the invincible Don Quixote will this night defend the honor of his restaurant, Cafe La Macha." Of course, the people tell Pancho to leave Don and join them at the food factory. Because of this, Don then hops out while wearing a makeshift armor, thanks Pancho for what he did before he approaches the food factory, announces pridefully, "I am Don Quixote. I am calling out the food factory to meet me in the battle of honor. The winner shall keep his restaurant. The loser shall leave town forever." The people are a bit uncertain about Don's decision before Don asks the food factory if they're afraid to cross swords with him, repeating his challenge before saying that the dogs are barking again, saying if they don't, he will be forced to attack. The food factory manager tells Don that that's crazy, to which Don replies, "Crazy am I?" Before the food factory manager tells Don that if he attacks the restaurant, he'll be arrested. Don tries to dissuade by telling the food factory manager that any authority will no doubt agree with him at that point. Before Sheriff Bob, played by Bob the Tomato, who's eating a hamburger, oh my gosh, I'm hungry, tells Don not to do anything crazy or else he'll have him arrested. Despite this, Don is not prepared to engage the food factory in battle, but Pancho tries to tell him not to do it. Don then briefly envisions the food factory as the windmill monster. While in his dream, before he charges forward towards the food factory, but unfortunately his helmet slides over his face, which causes him to trip over his broom, from which catapults him to one side of the windmill blades at the restaurant. Before then, he falls on top of the front balcony restaurant, saying, "Have you had enough? Surrender, or you shall taste my mop." Because of his actions, Don is arrested by Sheriff Bob, with Don saying, "This cell cannot hold me. I demand a satisfaction. Fight me like a man." Before Sheriff Bob tells him to take off his armor and go to bed. Don then says that he demands legal counsel before Pancho approaches him, saying, "How about some friendly counsel?" Don is happy to see Pancho has come see him, with Pancho telling him he brought a few things for him. With Sheriff Bob asking Pancho what he got in bag, with Pancho replying just his regular bedtime supplies. The things Pancho had brought for Don is his 90 nightcap, his corn chips, and his extra spicy salsa, with Sheriff Bob quipping, "That will give you nightmares." Of course, when Pancho hears these words from Sheriff Bob, he has a second thought about giving the salsa to Don, something which Don is not happy about. He calls out to Pancho that he thought he was his friend. The next morning, Don wakes up before he sees Pancho, Sheriff Bob, and the food factory manager in the cell with him. When Pancho asks Don if he had any bad dreams, he says he didn't have any dreams at all. Before Pancho says that it was the extra hot salsa, which Don has been eating every night before bed, which was the reason why Don had been having bad dreams. Sheriff Bob doesn't believe this is the reason, but once he gets a whiff of the salsa, it's too spicy for him. Oh my god, starving. Before he says that, do it alright, then Sheriff Bob asks the food factory manager if he wants to press charges. The food factory manager tells him that they bent the giant spatula back without any harm. Sheriff Bob then tells Don that he's free to go, but if he stops eating the spicy hot salsa. But Don desperately says that the cafe that says that the Cafe La Mancha is true, and he got nowhere to go. Of course, Pancho tells him, "Don't be too sure." Sure, because it revealed that the Cafe La Mancha has been open for breakfast. The one thing the food factory does not cater to. Don then thanks Pancho for standing by him when he needed him the most, with Pancho telling him that that's what friends do. But Don then asks Pancho for a friendly game of checkers after work, to which Pancho then accepts his challenge. Oh dear. I might need to do this in 2 parts. You might see me with different clothes for the next time I'm filming. So, see you in part 2. I'm just gonna be right back. And I'm back. So, let's continue on. Okay. Sherlock Holmes and the Golden Ruler. In London, at an ice cream parlor known as Doyle's, named in honor of Sherlock Holmes' Sir Arthur Ingenious Conan Doyle, several customers are enjoying themselves until they are met up with the famous detective Sherlock Holmes, played by Larry the Cucumber, and his assistant Dr. Watson, played by Bob the Tomato. I need my hair tie and I don't know where it is. Great. Never mind then. Everyone is happy to see Sherlock Holmes before the two approaches the two of the customers, played by Jimmy and Jerry Gord, who ask him what the good word is. Sherlock then says, "Beats me, but when I find it, you'll be the first to know." Before the 2 customers then laughs after that. However, when Dr. Watson attempts to strike up a conversation with them using Circudium, I can't read that. They only say sarcastically reply to him. Sherlock and Dr. Watson then seat themselves at a booth before the waitress approaches them asking them if they solve another case, to which Dr. Watson that they have. Before the waitress tells them one usual coming up, before giving them some cake and 2 glasses of milk. Sherlock takes the ice cream off the cake before giving the cake to Watson. The 2 then says the game's afoot before toasting with their glasses of milk. Jerry then asks them what they're celebrating this time, before Jimmy says, "I can only assume it involves the mystery, mayhem, and maleficent." Again. Dr. Watson then says that they could say that, before Sherlock says, you could if I could understand what you were saying. Jerry then asks them, "What dastardly crime have you just solved. Sherlock then tells everyone that it's a rather hush-hush, before saying that no one in London will ever have to worry about the howling dogs of Baker Street again. Everyone then cheers about it before Jimmy asks him, "How did you solve it? Did you use your superlative powers of obversation, or did basic forensics crack this particular case open?" Sherlock then tells him that he talks funny before Dr. Watson answers that it was all a combination of the two, before Sherlock tells him that they decided the best way to explain it is in song, in which Dr. Watson is not too fond of. Despite this, Sherlock then then has the piano player played by Scallion Green start playing a song. Before Sherlock and Dr. Watson then start singing about how if a crime has been committed, then they will be called to solve the crime. Throughout the entire song, Sherlock keeps pushing him in completely overshadowing Dr. Watson, much to Dr. Watson's conversation. After the song ends, everyone then cheers for Sherlock's performance, while Dr. Watson feels hurt that Sherlock has been pushing him aside. After the duo exits Doyle's, Sherlock proclaims another perfect ending to a perfect day before noticing that Dr. Watson feels down. Dr. Watson then tells Sherlock that he thought that they solved the cases together, but Sherlock is the only one who gets the credit for them. Of course, Sherlock thinks that silly, saying that they're a team and that they are friends, which everyone knows. Before Watson asks Sherlock if he knows that any way to treat a friend. Before the conversation can continue, Scooter Carrot then approaches the duo, telling them that there's been a robbery at Buckingham Palace. However, due to Scooter's accent, Sherlock cannot understand him, but Dr. Watson can, repeating the statement to Sherlock. Because of this, Sherlock and Watson then head off towards the direction of Buckingham Palace. After arriving at Buckingham Palace, Sherlock and Watson meet the Prime Minister, who tells the duo that everyone is in a desperate need of their services. The Prime Minister then explains to the duo that the crime in a case not natural security, and that if it's not solved quickly, there will be dire consequences. When asked what was stolen, the Prime Minister answers a key, which Sherlock is in disbelief about, thinking that the Prime Minister had lost his keys, telling the Prime Minister to go down to the hardware store to get a copy made. Of course, since Watson's more clear-minded than Sherlock, he asks the Prime Minister what the key unlocks. Before the Prime Minister answers, the door to the room where the golden ruler is kept. This surprises Watson before telling Sherlock that it's not a moment to waste, but Sherlock doesn't quite understand what's going on. Okay, I'm gonna have to be right back again because I need my ponytail and water. Okay, I'm back. Now I'm no longer hot. Sherlock and Watson follow the Prime Minister to a room before approaching a pillow where the key was kept. When Sherlock examines the key, Watson tells him to describe what he sees, which Sherlock does, saying it's your basic pillow without the key in it. Before enormous guessing that whoever stole the key has a dislike for soft pillows, then comes up with an outrageous conclusion that there's a headless bandit with morbid fear of pillows. Watson then asks the Prime Minister where the door is the key unlocks. For the Prime Minister turns towards the doorway, where the door is right across the room they are in now. Sherlock then asks the Prime Minister what the golden ruler is. Before the Prime Minister answers, only the most valuable treasure in the entire kingdom. Watson notices that there's a bunch of dusty footprints on the floor of the room. saying that they must be examined extremely careful not to disturb these clues. However, at that moment, two policemen named Detective Bill Trout from Forensic Investigators of Southampton Fish and Sergeant John Spud from the Canterbury Highway Patrol Chips show up at the scene of the crime, which Sherlock is not happy about. Nevertheless, Fish and Chips go to work using police tape to block off the scene of the crime, even when Watson tries telling them that they're disturbing the crime scene. The Prime Minister then tells the two officers that Sherlock Holmes is the greatest detective. The greatest detective in the greatest detective. Though Sherlock ends up getting caught in the police tape after a few seconds, Sherlock still pulls the tape until the tape pulls down a statue, which opens up a secret door in the wall that acts like as an entrance to a secret passageway, which was how the crook was able to enter and exit the room without detection. The Prime Minister says that he will announce this discovery to the King and Queen. But when Sherlock says that he'll do it, he ends up tripping over the police tape before advertently knocking down the four rows of British guards that are standing in the hallway. After Sherlock and Watson return to Bodorios again, Sherlock is greeted by everyone before he is asked what's shaking. Sherlock then answers to Jimmy and Jerry that they're on the boots of London, which makes everyone laugh again. Sherlock then asks the waitresses for the usual again, before Jimmy asks him, "What nefarious no-good Nick did you and Dr. Watson incarcerated this fine evening?" Okay, there we go. Sherlock is confused by the words that Jimmy used on him before Dr. Watson explaining to him that these words mean what these words mean. Sherlock then answers that, as always, it's rather hush-hush, saying that he stumbled upon a clue that blew this case wide open that day. We'll have the criminal before the week is up. Sherlock then says that now I can't reveal exactly where I was tonight, but let's say it rhymes with Buckingham Dallas, which everyone's amazed about, before Sherlock explains that he was faced with the most difficult mystery of his career, and that if he failed, then the most valuable treasure in the kingdom will be lost. Everyone is worried. Sherlock is able to assume everyone in the parlor that he was on the top of his game, which everyone starts cheering about. However, this only causes Watson to storm out of Dorio's with Sherlock following after him, wanting to know what's wrong. Watson then angrily tells Sherlock that he doesn't really have a clue, when Sherlock tries telling him that he knows that they're a team, before Watson tells him that it really hurts when you say to someone that you're their friend, yet you don't treat them like a friend. Two Scullion women then show up asking Sherlock for his autograph. After the Scullion women leave, this only causes Watson to leave in a huff, even when Sherlock tries calling after him to come back. At the home of Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock is playing his tuba when Scooter comes in, telling him that the golden ruler has been stolen. Unfortunately, just like before, Sherlock doesn't understand what Scooter said, all because of his accent. A woman and Jimmy tried to translate what Scooter said, but they don't know what he said until Scooter was finally able to make himself understood, repeating his statement that the golden ruler has been stolen. After hearing that the golden ruler has been stolen, Sherlock is about to tell Watson about the game is afoot, before realizing that he's all alone, before he goes off to see if he can try to find Watson. After arriving at the home of Dr. Watson, Sherlock ends up getting soot, pillow feathered water, and anvil dumped onto his head by Watson's maid, who each admonished Sherlock for treating Watson poorly. Sherlock then returns to Buckingham Palace, with the Prime Minister telling him that the word of the thief might leak out to the press. Before Sherlock is hit with a newspaper that bears the headlines too late, the golden ruler has been stolen. Fish and chips are under surveillance. Even after the golden ruler has been stolen, with the Prime Minister asking Sherlock to save the day, with Sherlock saying that he's on the job before he starts looking all around his magnifying glass. Even without Watson by his side, Sherlock asks the Prime Minister when the crime took place. Before the Prime Minister answers that it must have happened at the changing of the guards, something which he can't understand. Just when it seems that Sherlock is about to solve the case, he realizes that it's a lot harder than it looks. Sherlock then comes up with a deduction, I don't know, before whispering to the Prime Minister, while Fish is able to eavesdrop on them. The Prime Minister then praises Sherlock for his deduction, just as the King and Queen of England, played by respectively Paul Grape and Madame Blueberry, approach their thrones. The King then announces that not all is lost, saying Detective Trout Fish has detected that the national treasure is still hidden within the walls of the palace, which Sherlock is not happy to hear, since he was the one who came up with the deduction himself. Before he acknowledges Fish for stealing his deduction, however, Sherlock then realizes how he felt just how Watson felt. Before realizing that he finally figured out about what Watson was telling him about treating a friend like a friend. Because of that, Sherlock then thanks Fish for stealing his deduction and taking the credit for it, which is what finally opened his eyes to what Watson was trying to tell him along. Sherlock tells the King and Queen that they need to treat each other the way they need to be treated, with the King telling him that's exactly what the golden ruler says. Which is why it's the most valuable treasure of all. Sherlock then says that he can't solve this case by himself, saying that he needs Dr. Watson before Watson then shows up, which Sherlock is happy to see. Sherlock then asked the King if he could reveal the criminal who stole the golden ruler, before explaining that as Sherlock has deduced, the thief is still in their midst. Because this was an inside job, Watson then reveals that the thief is none other than one of the palace guards. One of the Prime Minister tells him that each of the palace guards is loyal to the core, before Watson tells him that one of the guards is an imposter, a foreign spy sent to steal England's most precious possession. The King then asks the thief to step forward, but the Prime Minister allows him, but asking the guards if any of them are spies, which the guards reply no. And then Prime Minister asks him if any of them are loyal to the crown. They all reply, we. Which, when the Prime Minister tells Watson that he's mistaken, Watson tells him that people may sometimes lie, but facts never do, before he gets into a detailed explanation. First telling about the footprints, which are the same size as a pea, and that the wall of the secret passageway, there were black fibers that matched the guards' hats, which were the same height as the English guard, which was how he knew that the guard had stolen the key, but didn't know why until the morning when he secretly investigated the crime scene and found the answer to his riddle. Watson explains further that he found crumbs that belonged to brie cheese and a baguette bread, which were foods not native to England, but rather to France. The Prime Minister then says that he questioned the guards, and they are all loyal to the crown. But Sherlock defends Watson's statement, and one of the guards being a spy before he trips on the police tape again before knocking over the P guards once again. But this time, one of the P guards was revealed to have the golden ruler under his hat, which revealing this P to be the spy. As a result, the spy, played by Philippi P, is arrested by fish and chips, while proclaiming that he would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for his irresponsible love of brie cheese and baguette bread. The king is happy that their natural treasure has been reclaimed, thanking Sherlock for solving the case. But Sherlock tells him that the real hero is Watson, which Watson is happy to hear. Before telling Sherlock that they did it as a team, as friends, Sherlock then reads the inscription of the golden ruler, which reads, "Treat others the way you want to be treated," before asking Watson to forgive him, which Watson does. Back at Doyle's, Sherlock and Watson then sing a reprise of the song that they sang earlier, but this time singing about how if a crime has been committed, they should be called on to solve the mystery as long as they both live by the golden rule. After the song ends, everyone cheers for their teamwork and friendship of both Sherlock and Dr. Watson. Closing countertop. Back on the countertop, Bob asks Larry if he has anything to say, which Larry does before he apologizes to the entire population of South Dakota for the insulting jokes that he was making. Bob then tells Larry that historically South Dakota has been a very forgiving state. Larry still wants to know how he would know before Cordy brings up a song about South Dakota. Before in the end, Larry is faced to be gratified into Mount Rushmore, which means South Dakota does forgive Larry. But Bob then tells Larry and Erica, just like in the story of Sherlock Holmes, to be a good friend, we need to treat our friends like we want to be treated. Larry then says that as they learn in the story of the asparagus of La Mancha, being a good friend means that we need to do what's best for our friends and stick by them when they need us the most. Cordy brings up the verse, which is, "A friend loves at all times. A brother is born for adversity." Proverbs 17:17. After that, Larry excuses himself before hopping off, which Bob is confused about, before he tells Erica that the best thing to keep in mind when you're looking to make a good friend is how to be a good friend. If you can do that, you will do just fine. Larry then hops back after that, this time dressed as Larry Boy, which confuses Bob again, before Larry tells him that the dress rehearsal for the next show starts in 2 minutes. But Bob then asks Larry if they can finish the show first, which Larry confirms before the two sign off without Bob saying, "Nobody told me about a dress rehearsal," but the episode ends after that, before the conversation can continue further. I'm trying to remember the line that it's always said in every Rich Jokes. God loves you very much, and God loves you very much, and God made you special, and God loves you very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry, it took great pauses to 2 pauses to create this. I apologize for that. But anyways, I hope you got something out of this video and God's word, and you're gonna be seeing some words in 3, 2, 1.